Have you ever wondered why life seems to test you relentlessly? Why the storms keep coming, the losses feel unbearable, and the challenges appear insurmountable? Perhaps you've asked yourself, why me? Why does it feel like the weight of the world is pressing down on my shoulders? These trials, though they feel cruel and chaotic, are not without purpose. They were not sent to break you, but to build you. Every fire you've walked through, every betrayal you've endured, every moment of doubt and despair has been part of something greater. It may not feel like it in the midst of the storm, but there is a transformation happening, a process that is shaping you into someone unshakable, unbreakable, and unstoppable. The pieces of your life that once felt shattered are not signs of defeat. They are the foundation of your rise. Like Joseph, who rose from betrayal and imprisonment to become a leader. Like Job, who worshipped in the face of devastating loss. Like Moses, who tore down systems of oppression with nothing but faith. Like Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, who walked through fire and emerged untouched. And like countless others who faced impossible odds and refused to bow to the forces against them, you, too, are being refined, not ruined. This journey, this transformation, is not for the faint of heart. It demands that you face your greatest fears, your deepest pain, and the invisible battles waged within your soul. It requires you to endure storms that strip away the old, to rise above systems built to silence you, and to walk through fires that test the very core of who you are. But the reward? It is greater than you can imagine. In the next 7 parts, we will walk this journey together. We will confront the storms that tested you, the betrayals that wounded you, the doubts that tried to define you, and the fires that sought to consume you. Each part of this journey reveals a truth, that the trials you faced were not meant to end you, but to transform you into something stronger. Part 1 explores the battles designed to test you and why your endurance is no accident. Part 2 uncovers how loss and pain have not destroyed you, but instead birthed a new, resilient version of you. Part 3 dives into betrayal, the deepest wounds, and how you can turn the pain into purpose. Part 4 exposes the war within, the doubts and spiritual darkness that sought to consume you and how you conquered them. Part 5 confronts the systems of oppression and rejection that try to hold you back, and how you tore them down. Part 6 takes you through nature's fury, storms, floods, and fire, and how you rose above it all. Part 7 celebrates your transformation, honoring the beauty in your scars and the brilliance of your rise. This is not just a story of survival. This is the story of your transformation, a journey from devastation to strength, from ashes to beauty, and from brokenness to brilliance. You are not here by accident. You are here because you were built to endure, to rise, and to inspire. So, are you ready to see the truth of your story? To recognize that every scar, every tear, and every challenge has been preparing you for something extraordinary? This is your moment to rise, because you, my friend, are unshakable, unstoppable, and destined for greatness. Let's begin. Part 1. The battle designed to test you. Life has a way of crafting storms so precise that they seem deliberately placed to unravel the very fabric of who you are. These storms don't merely appear. They crash into your life like calculated forces aimed to shatter everything you thought was strong, stripping away your security, peace, and sometimes even your will to keep going. If you've ever felt like disaster after disaster has been unleashed upon you, it's no accident. These battles were not random acts of chaos, but deliberate trials meant to test your resolve, to challenge every piece of your identity and every ounce of your faith. You might have wondered, why me? Why does it feel like the weight of the world is pressing solely on my shoulders? And yet, despite all of this, here you are, not just alive but standing tall, stronger and more resolute than anyone could have ever predicted. What sought to break you underestimated the fire within you, a fire placed there by God, a flame that refuses to be extinguished. Take a moment and reflect on this. If you are still here, it is not because life has been kind or easy. It is because you have endured. Your survival is not luck. It is proof of the strength within you, strength that has been there all along, waiting to be revealed. The world might look at you and see someone ordinary, but you know the truth. every scar, every wound, and every tear has been part of a greater process, a divine forging of who you are meant to be. Your resilience is not accidental, it is intentional. You have been prepared in the fire for something greater. This story has echoed across time, repeated in the lives of those chosen for greatness. Take Joseph, whose tale in the book of Genesis is a testimony to what happens when life conspires against you. Betrayed by his own brothers, thrown into a pit, and sold into slavery, Joseph's life looked as though it had been utterly ruined. Those who envied him, the very people he trusted, plotted against him, saying, "Let us kill him and see what becomes of his dreams." Can you relate? Have you ever felt like the world has ganged up on you, as though unseen forces have decided to snuff out your purpose before it can bloom? Perhaps the betrayals you faced were personal, striking at the very heart of your trust and love. Maybe the storms you weathered felt so overwhelming that you wondered if you would ever escape them. And yet, like Joseph, you were never forgotten. For years, Joseph's trials continued. His pain was not short-lived. His journey to greatness was long and filled with moments where he must have doubted his purpose. How could he not? He was abandoned, falsely accused, and imprisoned, all while carrying a dream inside of him. How many times have you felt like that dream you carry, that vision of the life you desire, has been buried by the weight of your circumstances? How often have you looked at your life and thought, "This isn't what I planned"? It's in those moments of despair that the true test begins. When everything around you feels like it is crumbling, the question is not whether you're strong enough to survive. The question is whether you can trust that this storm has a purpose. Joseph's story didn't end in the pit, nor in the prison. The very trials that seemed to destroy him became the path to his greatest victory. He was elevated to unimaginable heights, placed in a position of power that allowed him to save countless lives, even the very brothers who betrayed him. And so, you must ask yourself, could it be that the storms in your life are not meant to break you but to shape you? What if every tear you've cried, every heartbreak you've endured, and every moment you've felt abandoned has been part of a divine plan to reveal who you truly are? There is something powerful that happens when a person is forged in the fire, like steel that is strengthened by heat and pressure. You are being transformed. The storms are not here to destroy you. They are here to refine you, to strip away the excess and leave only the strongest, purest version of yourself. History is filled with stories of those who endured trials beyond imagination only to emerge as warriors, leaders, and legends. Even in mythology, heroes like Beowulf faced monsters and dragons, not just as physical threats but as tests of willpower, purpose, and an unyielding spirit. Beowulf's battles were brutal and unrelenting, but they were not meaningless. Each struggle revealed his character, proving his strength not just to the world but to himself. You, too, have fought battles that have tested you to your core. You have stood in the face of overwhelming odds, and though you may carry the scars of those fights, those scars are not symbols of defeat. They are marks of victory. Each one whispers the truth that you stood firm while others fell, that you kept going when it would have been easier to quit. The forces that have come against you underestimated what lies within you. They thought the weight of your trials would crush you, but instead, it has revealed your indomitable spirit. You are not here by accident. Your survival is not a coincidence. You have been chosen for a purpose greater than you can imagine. The very disasters that came to destroy you have sparked the fire of your destiny. Like Joseph, like Beowulf, like every warrior who has faced insurmountable odds and refused to bow. You have proven that you are made of something unbreakable. So what will you do now? Will you let the weight of your past hold you down? Or will you rise, knowing that every trial has been part of a greater plan? It's easy to see the storms as curses, to believe that life is unfair and the pain is meaningless. But what if every struggle has been preparing you for this moment? What if every setback has been setting the stage for your greatest triumph? You are not standing in the ruins of your life. You are standing in the foundation of something new. The fire that was meant to consume you has instead refined you, and now you are sharper, stronger, and more resolute than ever before. Let the world see you now. Let them see the survivor who refused to quit, the warrior who would not bow, You are not just someone who has endured hardship, you are someone who has conquered it. The storms may have come, but they did not win. You did. You stand here today as living proof that no amount of pain, no betrayal, and no disaster can defeat a soul that refuses to surrender. The fire within you is greater than anything that can come against you, and it is that fire that will carry you forward. They may have thought the battle would destroy you, but they underestimated your strength. You were made for this. You were forged for victory. And this is only the beginning. Part 2, Loss and Pain, Reborn from the Ashes. Loss has a way of arriving uninvited, tearing through your life like a storm that refuses to pass. It does not knock gently, but instead bursts through the door, demolishing everything you once held dear. In a moment, what seemed secure becomes fragile. What seemed whole becomes shattered. Loss is not simply a word, it is a hurricane. It takes with it joy, purpose, identity, and sometimes even your hope. You may have sat in the silence that follows, staring at the pieces of your life and wondering how you will ever feel whole again. The weight of emptiness can be unbearable, and the questions linger like shadows. Why did this happen to me? Where was God in this storm? How do I go on when everything I loved has been taken? You are not alone in this experience. Even the strongest of hearts have been brought to their knees by the pain of loss. In the book of Job, we see a man who knew loss in its most devastating form. In a single moment, Job's world was stripped away. His family, his wealth, his health, all the things that once made his life feel stable and complete were suddenly gone. The weight of this devastation could have crushed him, and yet, his response was nothing short of extraordinary. Job arose, tore his robe, shaved his head, and fell to the ground to worship. Through his pain, he uttered the words, "The Lord gave and the Lord has taken away. Blessed be the name of the Lord." Pause and let that sink in. Job's grief was immense, his pain unspeakable, yet his faith remained steadfast. Have you ever wondered what kind of strength it takes to worship in the face of such loss? What kind of faith allows a person to say, "Blessed be the name of the Lord," when everything familiar has been torn away? Loss has a way of testing you in ways you never imagined, exposing the fragility of life while demanding answers you cannot find. But here is the truth: loss, for all its destruction, is not meant to break you, it is meant to shape you. It carves away the superficial, leaving behind a raw and unfiltered version of who you are. Grief comes like waves, sometimes quietly, sometimes with violent force. It crashes over you and pulls you under, leaving you gasping for air. How many times have you cried out for answers, only to hear nothing but the echo of your own pain? How many times have you asked God why, and felt like the silence itself was another form of suffering? Yet even in those moments when it seems no one is listening, your tears carry meaning. Every tear is a testimony, not of weakness, but of love so deep that even its absence carries weight. Grief is not a sign that you are broken. It is proof that you dared to love, dared to hope, dared to dream. And yet, loss is only the beginning. When the dust settles and the world seems quieter, you are faced with a choice. Will you let this loss define you? Will you let the emptiness take root and grow into bitterness? Or will you rise, even from the ashes, and find purpose in the wreckage? Because here is the hidden truth about loss. It doesn't just take away, it also gives. It gives you clarity about what truly matters. It strips away the illusion of control, reminding you that life is fleeting and precious. It reveals strength within you that you never knew existed, a resilience that is forged only through fire. Think of the phoenix, a creature that has become a symbol of rebirth. When the flames consume it, the phoenix does not simply die, it is reborn, rising from its ashes more brilliant and powerful than before. You, too, are being reborn. The fire of loss has consumed parts of you, but it has not destroyed you. What remains is the essence of who you are, unshakable and unbreakable. This is not the end of your story. The ashes of what you've lost are not a grave. They are the soil from which something new will grow. Your journey through loss is not one of forgetting but of transforming. You do not move on from grief, you move forward with it. The memories remain, the scars remain, but they become part of your strength. The wounds you carry are not signs of defeat. They are proof of survival. You have wrestled with the storm. You have cried through the night. And yet here you are. You have stood when others might have fallen. You have chosen to keep moving forward, even when every step felt like a battle. Consider the story of Job once again. His loss was not the end. After his season of suffering, Job's faith and perseverance were rewarded. He was restored, not simply to what he had before, but to something even greater. This is the promise for you as well. The pain you feel now is not permanent. The emptiness you face today is not your final chapter. God is working even in the midst of this storm, turning your pain into purpose and your grief into growth. So what does it mean to rise from the ashes? It means refusing to let loss define you. It means choosing to live, even when life feels impossible. It means finding hope where there seems to be none and trusting that the story is not over. Loss may have taken much from you, but it cannot take everything. It cannot take your spirit, your purpose, or your capacity to love again. You are not broken beyond repair. You are being rebuilt, stronger than before. Like Job, like the phoenix, like every warrior who has faced devastation and refused to give up. You are rising. The flames that were meant to consume you are now the fire that fuels your transformation. Your scars, once painful reminders, will become the gold that fills the cracks of your life, turning your brokenness into something beautiful. Let the world see you as you truly are, not as someone who has been defeated by loss, but as someone who has been refined by it. Your journey through the fire is not one of destruction, but of rebirth. This is the beginning of something new, something extraordinary. You are proof that even in the face of unimaginable loss, life can be rebuilt. You are proof that there is beauty in the ashes. And as you rise, may your story be a beacon of hope to those still walking through their own storms, reminding them that loss is not the end. It is the beginning of something greater. Part 3: Betrayal, turning pain into purpose. There is no wound quite like the one inflicted by betrayal. It cuts deeper than any other, not because of its physical weight, but because of its emotional sting. Betrayal comes not from strangers or enemies, but from those closest to your heart, people you trusted, people you loved, people you believed would stand by you. The knife doesn't pierce your back because of its sharpness. It cuts because of the hand holding it. How could they? How could someone you opened your life to twist that trust and turn it against you? Betrayal is like a thief in the night. It steals your peace, your sense of safety, and your belief in others. You question yourself, was it my fault? Did I deserve this? Could I have done something differently? These questions echo in your mind, tormenting you, but they only lead to deeper pain. Betrayal doesn't just break your heart, it breaks your sense of identity. It makes you second-guess everything you once held true. Your relationships, your worth, your ability to trust again. But let me tell you something powerful. Betrayal may break parts of you, but it does not have the power to destroy you unless you let it. It is not the betrayal itself that determines your future. It is how you choose to respond to it. Will you let it harden your heart and leave you bitter? Or will you let it sharpen your purpose and guide you to something greater? This choice is yours, and it is one that has been made time and time again by those who walked this path before you. Even Jesus knew the sting of betrayal. Judas Iscariot, one of his 12 disciples, a man who walked with him, learned from him, and shared meals with him, sold him for 30 pieces of silver, 30 coins, the price of a slave. Imagine that, a friend, a confidant, someone who was supposed to love him, betraying him for so little. And yet, Jesus, knowing Judas's intentions, still called him friend. Think about that for a moment. Jesus looked betrayal in the eyes and did not let it change who he was. He did not let Judas's actions define his purpose. Instead, he used the very betrayal that was meant to end him as the catalyst for his ultimate victory. What about you? What do you do when the people you trust the most turn their backs on you? Do you let their betrayal define you? Or do you rise above it, refusing to let their actions determine your future? Because here's the truth. Betrayal does not say anything about you. It says everything about the one who betrayed you. Their actions reflect their character, not your worth. And while their betrayal may have hurt you, it does not have to own you. There is strength in choosing to rise above. Betrayal, when faced with courage and resilience, becomes a tool for your transformation. It teaches you to see people more clearly. It refines your judgment. It sharpens your focus on what truly matters. When someone betrays you, they think they are breaking you, but all they are doing is revealing who they are and strengthening who you are. The betrayal they thought would bury you becomes the very thing that lifts you higher. Joseph's story once again shines light on this truth. His brothers didn't just betray him, they conspired to destroy him. They threw him into a pit and sold him into slavery, believing that would be the end of his dreams. But what they intended for harm, God used for good. The betrayal was not Joseph's ending. It was the beginning of his rise. His time in slavery, his time in prison, all became steps in the divine plan that elevated him to a position of power and purpose. In the end, the very brothers who betrayed him stood before him, desperate for his mercy. Joseph looked at them and said, "You intended to harm me, but God intended it for good to accomplish what is now being done." Your betrayal might feel like the pit Joseph was thrown into, dark, lonely, and hopeless. But what if it's not a pit at all? What if it's a passageway? What if this betrayal is the very thing that will position you for something greater? The pain you're feeling now does not mean you are finished. It means you are being prepared. The fire of betrayal is refining you, stripping away the illusions, and leaving behind a version of yourself that is stronger, wiser, and more resolute. The scars of betrayal will remain, but they are not signs of weakness. They are badges of honor. They tell the story of someone who trusted deeply, who loved fiercely, and who chose to rise even after being struck down. They are proof that you refuse to be defined by someone else's actions. Instead of growing bitter, you grew stronger. Instead of hardening your heart, you let the pain sharpen your purpose. It is tempting to close yourself off after betrayal, to build walls so high that no one can hurt you again. But don't let the actions of one person rob you of your ability to trust, to love, and to connect. Closing your heart does not protect you. It imprisons you. Instead, let this experience teach you discernment. Let it help you recognize who is worthy of your trust and who is not. And most of all, let it remind you of your strength, your resilience, and your ability to rise no matter how deep you have been thrown. So, what now? You cannot change what happened, but you can decide what happens next. You can take the betrayal that was meant to destroy you and turn it into the very foundation of your future. You can use it to fuel your purpose, to strengthen your resolve, and to inspire others who are walking through their own pain. Because here's the secret. The betrayers of this world are not the victors. They may have wounded you, but they did not win. They will never win, because your purpose is greater than their actions. Think of this moment as a turning point. The pain of betrayal has already happened. You have already survived it. Now is the time to take back your power. Forgive, not because they deserve it, but because you deserve peace. Move forward, not because it is easy, but because you refuse to be stuck in a moment that was never meant to define you. Let the betrayal sharpen you, refine you, and strengthen you. Let it remind you that you are greater than anything done to you. You are not broken. You are not defeated. You are rising. Betrayal has not destroyed you. It has revealed you. It has uncovered a strength within you that cannot be shaken. The very people who thought they could break you have become the witnesses to your resilience. And when they look at you now, they will see someone who refused to bow, someone who took the pain they caused and turned it into purpose. You are not a victim of betrayal. You are a warrior forged by it. And this, my friend, is only the beginning. Part 4. The War Within, Conquering Doubt and Spiritual Darkness. There is no battle more relentless, no enemy more insidious than the war that rages within you. It does not announce itself with storms or fire, nor does it come with visible wounds that others can see. Instead, it creeps quietly into the silent spaces of your mind, whispering lies, twisting truths, and clouding your vision of who you are meant to be. This war is spiritual, fought not with swords or shields, but with your faith, your purpose, and your will to keep moving forward. Doubt is its weapon. It strikes when you are most vulnerable, when the noise of the outside world fades and all that remains is the quiet of your thoughts. Have you ever heard its voice? It is soft, yet powerful. It says, "You're not good enough. You're too broken to be fixed. You will never overcome this." And once it begins, it echoes endlessly, convincing you that your failures are final and your struggles are proof that you are unworthy. There is a heaviness that comes with this war, a weight that presses against your soul and makes even the smallest steps feel impossible. You know it well, the sleepless nights, the moments of stillness that turn into hours of questioning everything. What's the point? Why keep going when nothing changes? Am I even strong enough for this? These questions linger like shadows, and the more you entertain them, the darker your mind becomes. Doubt doesn't shout, it whispers. It convinces you to surrender quietly, to let go of your dreams, your faith, and your belief in yourself. But you must know this: the war within you is not a sign of weakness. It is a sign that you are still fighting. If you were truly defeated, there would be no battle at all. The very fact that you feel the weight of this war means that you have not given up. The enemy does not attack what does not threaten it. Your purpose, your strength, your potential, these are the things that make you a target. And the enemy knows that if it can control your mind, it can control your life. That is why the war rages in your thoughts, in your faith, in your belief that you are worthy of the life you dream of. Gideon understood this war. In the book of Judges, Gideon was called a mighty warrior by the angel of the Lord. But his first response was doubt. He looked at his life, at his circumstances, and said, "But I am the weakest. I am the least." Have you ever felt like that? Like you are too small, too weak, too broken to fulfill the calling on your life? Gideon could not see what God saw in him. He saw weakness, but God saw a warrior. He saw limitations, but God saw potential. And in the end, Gideon overcame his doubt, not because he was strong, but because he chose to believe what God said about him rather than what the world or his own mind told him. What about you? When doubt tells you that you are not enough, whose voice do you believe? The voice of the lies or the voice of truth? You see, this is where the real war is won or lost, in the decision to silence the lies with action, to push forward even when everything inside you says stop. Every time you stand up, every time you refuse to quit, every time you rise from the darkness, you send a message to the war within you. You do not control me. Spiritual battles are not always visible, but they are always real. Even Jesus faced this war in the Garden of Gethsemane. On the night before his crucifixion, he fell to the ground in anguish, crying out to God, "If you are willing, take this cup from me." Imagine that, the Son of God, overwhelmed to the point of sorrow, feeling the full weight of what lay ahead. And yet, he finished his prayer with these words, "Not my will, but yours be done." Even in his darkest moment, Jesus chose surrender. Not surrender to the darkness, but surrender to God's plan. He chose faith over fear. He chose purpose over pain. You have faced your own Garden of Gethsemane moments, times when the burden felt too heavy to carry, when you wanted nothing more than to give up and walk away. The weight of your struggles, the pain of your past, the fear of the unknown, they pressed on you like a crushing force. But even in those moments, something inside of you refused to let go. Maybe it was a whisper of hope. Maybe it was a stubborn refusal to quit. Or maybe it was a quiet voice inside saying, "Keep going. This is not the end." The war within you is not won by avoiding the battle. It is won by facing it head-on, by refusing to let fear, doubt, or despair define you. You don't conquer this war by waiting for the darkness to pass. You conquer it by shining your light, no matter how small it feels. Because here's the truth: darkness cannot overcome light. No matter how deep the night, the faintest flicker of light will always be visible. What happens when you choose to fight back? When you refuse to let the lies take root, something incredible happens. The war that was meant to break you becomes the very thing that strengthens you. Your faith, once fragile, becomes unshakable. Your doubts, once loud, become quieter with every step you take. The voice that whispered, "You can't," is drowned out by the truth that says, "You were made for this." You see, the war within is not just about surviving. It is about transforming. When you face your doubts, when you refuse to surrender to despair, you uncover a strength within you that you didn't know existed. You realize that you are not powerless, that you are not alone, and that you are far stronger than the war ever led you to believe. So, who are you now? You are someone who has faced the darkness and refused to be consumed by it. You are someone who has fought battles no one else could see and emerged victorious. Your faith is no longer blind. It is tested and proven. Your strength is no longer hidden. It has been revealed. You are no longer defined by your doubts. You are defined by your decision to keep going, no matter how hard it gets. Let the world see this version of you, the version that has walked through spiritual darkness and come out stronger. Let them see the person who refused to let the war within win. You are not defeated. You are not broken. You are a conqueror. And the next time doubt comes whispering in the quiet of your mind, reminded who you are: a warrior, a survivor, and a soul that cannot be shaken. This war may have been fierce, but it did not defeat you. It revealed you. It sharpened you. And now, you are stronger than ever before. Part 5. Overcoming systems of oppression. Tearing down walls built to hold you back. Some battles are not fought in your heart or mind, but in the systems and structures designed to keep you small. These are battles where the weight of the world feels unbearable, not because of personal pain or betrayal, but because of forces beyond your control. The walls are not made of stone, but of prejudice, inequality, rejection, and an endless series of locked doors that refuse to let you through. Have you ever felt it? That invisible ceiling pressing down on you, that unspoken rule telling you, this far and no further. It's as if the entire world has conspired to keep you in a box labeled, not enough. This kind of oppression isn't loud. It's systemic. It hides in the way opportunities are denied to you, but freely handed to others. It exists in the barriers that force you to work twice as hard for half as much. It is present in the labels placed on you without your consent. The whispers that tell you you're not qualified, not worthy, not capable of achieving more. Rejection comes not once but over and over, and it carves its way into your life like a cruel, unrelenting wave. The question is, what do you do when the odds are stacked so high against you that success feels impossible? What do you do when the world says you don't belong, that your dreams are too big, your voice too small, and your vision too radical? You rise. You refuse to bow to a system that was never designed for you to win. You tear down every wall they built to contain you, brick by brick, until there is nothing left but freedom. This battle is not new. Look at Moses and the Israelites. Enslaved under the rule of Pharaoh, Egypt's system was designed to crush them, to keep them bent under the weight of labor and stripped of their voices. The Israelites were told they were less than, that their purpose was to serve and to suffer. And yet, Moses, a man who once doubted his own worth, stood before Pharaoh and declared, "Let my people go." Imagine the courage it took to challenge the might of an empire. Moses did not come with an army. He came with faith, with purpose, and with an unshakable belief that oppression does not get the final word. What about you? Have you ever felt the weight of a system pressing down on you, telling you to know your place and stay in it? Have you ever been denied opportunities, not because of your talent or effort, but because someone decided you didn't fit the mold? The rejection can feel personal, but it's not. It's a reflection of a world that underestimates you because it cannot see what God placed within you. The systems were built to stop you, but they failed to account for your resilience. Here's the truth. Every rejection, every locked door, every unfair obstacle is not proof of your inadequacy. It is proof of your strength. If you were not a threat to the system, it would not try so hard to keep you down. The very barriers placed in your path are evidence that you are walking towards something powerful. They wouldn't build walls if you weren't meant to break them. And break them you will. With every no you hear, you respond with determination. With every door slammed shut, you find another way through. You learn to stop asking for permission to exist, to succeed, to dream. You do not wait for someone to open a door for you. You tear it off its hinges and claim the space that was always meant for you. The system says you don't belong, and you look it in the face and say, "Watch me." You are not the only one who has faced this kind of battle. Every great movement in history was built by people who refused to accept the status quo. People who stood up when it was dangerous, who spoke out when it was costly, who fought for change when the world said it was impossible. The greatest revolutions begin with a single act of defiance. Someone saying, "I will not bow. I will not stop. I will not be erased." Maybe you feel like your fight is insignificant, like your progress is too slow. But let me remind you of this. Every act of resistance matters. Every step forward you take, no matter how small, sends a ripple that cannot be ignored. Every time you refuse to quit, you are tearing down the walls they built. You are creating space for others to rise, for others to believe that they, too, can overcome. The Apostle Paul said in Galatians, "Let us not become weary in doing good, for at the proper time we will reap a harvest if we do not give up." Do not give up. The systems that try to hold you back are not stronger than the fire within you. The odds may be against you, but the odds have never defined your destiny. They said you couldn't rise, but here you are. They said the walls were unbreakable, but you're already breaking through. You are not powerless. You are not small. You are a force that cannot be ignored. Every act of defiance, every refusal to quit, every step you take toward your dreams is a declaration, "I belong here. I will not be stopped." The systems that tried to silence you underestimated what you were capable of. They saw your struggle but missed your strength. They thought the barriers they built would hold you back forever. But they didn't realize that you were building something too, something unshakable, something unstoppable. So let them see you now. Let them see the one who refused to be erased, the one who took every rejection and turned it into fuel. You are not someone who breaks under pressure. You are someone who rises. You are a revolution in motion, a living example of what happens when a soul refuses to bow to injustice. The walls they built to keep you small are crumbling. The ceilings they placed above you are shattering. And as you rise, you are not just claiming victory for yourself. You are paving the way for others. You are showing the world that resilience can thrive in the most impossible conditions, that strength is forged in the face of adversity, and that nothing, not rejection, not inequality, not the weight of an entire system, can hold back a soul driven by purpose. You are not just surviving. You are rewriting the rules. You are proving that no system, no rejection, no label can define you. You are breaking free, not just for yourself, but for everyone who comes after you. You are a revolution, a testament to what happens when resilience meets resolve. Let them see you. Let them hear you. Let the world watch as you rise. Because this is only the beginning. Part 7. The transformation from brokenness to brilliance. There is something extraordinary that happens when you refuse to let your brokenness define you. What was meant to destroy you becomes the very thing that transforms you. The cracks, the scars, the wounds, they do not diminish you. They become the story of your rise. The gold veins that turn your life into something beautiful, unshakable, and brilliant. In Japan, there is an art form called kintsugi, where broken pottery is not discarded but repaired with gold. The cracks are not hidden, they are honored, turned into marks of beauty and strength. The once shattered vessel is made more valuable not despite its brokenness, but because of it. And so it is with you. Life has broken you in places you thought could never heal. The storms, betrayals, losses, and doubts have left their marks on you. And for a long time, you may have seen those marks as shameful, proof of weakness, evidence of failure. But they are none of those things. They are marks of survival, of resilience, of a spirit that refused to be destroyed. Your scars tell a story not of defeat, but of victory. Each one is a testament to a moment you chose to rise when everything around you said you should fall. Think about where you started. There were times you felt buried by the weight of it all, as though the rubble of your life would be your grave. But what if you were not buried? What if you were planted? What if every struggle was the soil in which something new and powerful was being born? The fire that was meant to consume you has refined you. The flood that was meant to drown you taught you how to rise. The betrayal that was meant to break you sharpened your focus and showed you who you are. And now, here you are, reborn from the ashes, stronger and more resilient than ever before. There is power in transformation, not because it erases the pain, but because it uses it. The challenges you faced were not accidents. They were a process. You were being stripped of everything false, everything fragile, everything that could not withstand the weight of your purpose. You were being forged, shaped, and prepared for something greater. And in that process, you discovered something extraordinary, that you are not fragile. You are not defined by what happened to you. You are defined by what you built from it. Joseph, betrayed and left for dead, used his suffering as the foundation of his rise. Job, stripped of everything he held dear, found a deeper faith in the midst of his despair. Jesus, betrayed, beaten, and crucified, turned what looked like the ultimate defeat into the greatest victory the world has ever known. And you are no different. You have walked through your own fires, carried your own crosses, and faced your own battles. The wounds you bear are not signs of failure. They are proof that you endured, that you kept moving forward when others would have stopped. Look at the life you are building now. The rubble they left behind has become the foundation of something unshakable. Every scar has been filled with gold. Every broken piece transformed into a mark of beauty. You are not the same person who started this journey. The storms have changed you. The fires have refined you. And the quakes have forced you to build deeper, stronger roots. What once seemed like destruction was, in fact, your transformation. This transformation is not just for you. Your story, your scars, your rise, they are not yours alone. They are a beacon for others still walking through their own storms. Your life becomes a testimony, a living example of what is possible when you refuse to quit. How many people are watching you now, seeing you rise from the ashes, and thinking to themselves, if they can do it, so can I? Your resilience is not just about surviving. It is about inspiring. It is about showing others that the fire doesn't have to destroy them, that the storms don't have to drown them, and that brokenness is not the end. It is the beginning of brilliance. The Apostle Paul writes in 2 Corinthians, "My grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness." Do you see it now? Your weaknesses, your cracks, your imperfections, these are the very places where your strength shines brightest. You are not strong because you avoided struggle. You are strong because you faced it. You are not resilient because life was easy. You are resilient because you endured what would have broken others. This is the truth you must carry forward. Your brokenness is not a flaw. It is your power. It is the proof of what you have survived, the evidence of your transformation, and the mark of your rebirth. Like a piece of kintsugi pottery, you are more beautiful because of your scars. The gold that fills your cracks is the resilience, wisdom, and strength you have gained through the fire. You are not ruined. You are not damaged. You are a masterpiece, brilliant, unshakable, and undeniable. Let the world see you as you are now. You are not a victim of your circumstances. You are not defined by what was taken from you. You are a builder, a visionary, a survivor who refused to stay down. You have turned pain into purpose, scars into stories, and loss into strength. What was meant to bury you has become the foundation of your rise. You did not just endure, you conquered. You did not just survive, you transformed. And now, as you stand at this new beginning, ask yourself, what will I build from here? This is not the end of your journey. This is the start of something extraordinary. The trials have prepared you for this moment, and the strength you carry now is unstoppable. You have proven that no storm, no betrayal, no rejection, and no fire can defeat you. You are unshakable because you have been through the worst and emerged stronger. Let your life be a testament to resilience. Let your scars be a source of light for those still walking through their own darkness. Let your rise be a reminder that nothing, not brokenness, not failure, not devastation, can stop someone who refuses to give up. You are the living proof that brokenness can be turned into brilliance, that ashes can become beauty, and that those who endure the fire will shine like gold. So, stand tall. Let the world see you now. You are not just a survivor. You are a conqueror. You are not just whole. You are transformed. You are not finished. You are just getting started. This is your time to shine, to inspire, and to build a life so brilliant, so unstoppable, that it becomes a light for generations to come. Because you, my friend, are a masterpiece in motion, refined by fire, strengthened by storms, and destined to rise. Conclusion: You are the masterpiece that rose from the fire. As we come to the end of this journey, I ask you to pause and reflect on everything you have endured, everything you have overcome, and everything you have become. The storms tried to drown you, the fires tried to consume you, and the betrayals tried to break you. The world told you no, systems tried to silence you, and doubt whispered lies into your soul. And yet, here you are, standing taller, stronger, and more alive than ever before. Every chapter of your struggle, whether it was loss, betrayal, rejection, or spiritual darkness, was part of a divine process, a forging of your purpose. The pieces of your life that once felt shattered have now been filled with gold, each crack a mark of strength, a story of survival, and a testament to your transformation. The fire did not consume you, it refined you. The weight of oppression did not crush you, it revealed the power within you. The storms did not break you, they taught you how to rise. Do you see it now? Do you see how every disaster, every trial, and every battle was not a curse but a catalyst? What was meant to bury you has become the foundation on which you are building a life that cannot be shaken. What was meant to silence you has become the voice that inspires others. You are not defined by what happened to you. You are defined by what you did with it. You are living proof that pain can become purpose, that scars can become strength, and that brokenness can be turned into brilliance. Like the art of kintsugi, your life is no longer ordinary. It has been transformed into something extraordinary. The gold that fills your cracks is not there to hide your struggles, but to honor them. Each line tells a story of endurance, resilience, and the kind of strength that can only be earned through fire. What once seemed broken has now become your greatest beauty. Let the world see you as you are now, a warrior forged by storms, a survivor of battles both seen and unseen, and a builder of something unstoppable. Your scars do not mark you as defeated. They declare your victory. Your wounds do not make you weak. They prove that you fought, you endured, and you rose. And your journey is far from over. This is not the end. This is the beginning of something greater, a new chapter where you rise, where you build, and where you shine so brightly that your story becomes a light for others still walking through their own fires. There will still be storms ahead. There will still be battles to fight and mountains to climb. But now, you are ready. You have seen what you are capable of. You have faced devastation and turned it into opportunity. You have walked through darkness and emerged as a beacon of light. You have refused to quit, refused to bow, and refused to let the world define your worth. You are unstoppable, not because you haven't faced adversity, but because adversity has proven that you are greater than anything that comes against you. So I ask you, what will you build now? What dreams will you chase? What lives will you impact with the strength of your story? Because the world is waiting for you, not a perfect version of you, but the real you, the one who has been shaped, refined, and strengthened by life's trials. Let your life be a testament to resilience. Let your story inspire hope in those who still feel lost. And let your light guide others out of their own darkness. You are not just a survivor. You are a conqueror. You are a visionary. You are a masterpiece. Go forward with confidence, knowing that the storms you've faced have prepared you for this moment. Build boldly, live fully, shine brightly, because you, my friend, are unshakable, unstoppable, and undeniable. Your rise is inevitable, and the best is yet to come.